What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. And today, we are here with the final practice report of the week for the Lions-Rams wildcard matchup on Sunday Night Football. So let's get it started. Welcome, everybody, to a video. Glad you guys are here. ADS, man, we are back with the final practice report of the week. It is that time, and I'm fired up to bring this to you. Now, before we get into this, do want to let y'all know I did drop my hype video for Jared Goff, okay? I got some inspiration, all right? And I was like, man, I want to make one of those. So I've been working on that for the last couple of days, and I just dropped it. It's just something for fun. Today, man, we got some news to dive into. Now, yesterday I ended up dropping this video kind of late because we all just kind of sat there waiting for the LA Rams to drop their side of the practice report, and it came out late because of the time zone difference. So today, instead, I just decided, let me go check out Sean McVay's presser and see if he gives us anything, and he pretty much laid out their entire practice report and what it's going to look like today. Now, I guess there could be some differences, especially if in practice maybe someone gets banged up, and at this time we don't know about that, but then at practice they're like, oh man, this guy just dealt with something. And if it's major, if it's massive, we can absolutely do a quick little upload and talk about what took place there and why that changes the game. However, he pretty much laid out everything for us, designations, how guys were going to practice today. So we'll just go based on that for the LA Rams side. That way we don't have to wait so long. That way I can also get this Lions side of the practice report out to you as fast as possible. And of course, all the talk is about Sam LaPorta, so we'll start right there. It's seemingly trending in the right direction. Full participation today from Sam LaPorta. We heard him yesterday. He was basically asked if he was optimistic. He said he was optimistic when he was asked about it. It doesn't sound like it's feeling the best, but he's doing everything he can to get back. Now, what Dan Campbell told us today did not give us a clear-cut answer, almost kind of pushed it like, hey, we'll know more after practice. Also, we'll know more tomorrow when he wakes up. How is he feeling? Like, this is truly a day-to-day thing. Obviously, he's not going to be 100%, but truly day-to-day if he can just fight through it and play. And he said LaPorta would go out there and run around today and that he's feeling better. Yesterday, he was listed with no participation, but as he told us, he went through the individual drills, seemingly not necessarily the team drills. So it seems like he was kind of in that mode, and maybe today he got some of that team drill work in, though it's Friday, assuming it's probably a little bit dialed back. However, with that being said, he was listed on the practice report with full participation. So it seems promising about where Sam LaPorta is going and that there's a chance he does play this weekend. And one thing that I did not bring up, we showed the graphic and everything in the last video, is also the third down impact. I mean, this one's kind of obvious, I feel like, but it is something that's worth bringing up, is how big he's been for us on third down, specifically within like 5 yards against teams that mainly play man coverage on third down. Most teams in the NFL do, especially when it's not, 3rd and 5 plus. If it's that or under, most teams go into man coverage. They don't want to give up stuff underneath. And LaPorta, a lot of times, has been kind of our go-to matchup piece there, really outside of St. Brown or maybe a running back if we can get a pick play, someone open. He's been our piece, man. It fits Goff's skill set well. He had a lot of trust throwing to LaPorta in those spots. And while he's had some drops specifically this past week, that's also where he's huge for us. So outside of everything we even talked about in that Dallas video, and we'll talk about this more on Sunday, I'm sure, man, what he brings for us third down as well is absolutely massive. Now, a quick little side note here. The All-Pro players were announced today, and I just wanted to give some love. I mean, this one I put maybe a little bit more to than the Pro. I mean, like I said, I don't really care about the Pro Bowl. The players do. I don't at all. Maybe the All-Pro, you care about that a little more. Honestly, I don't care about either of them, to be honest, but a couple players did get some recognition that should have, so I wanted to point this out and give them some love on here. First off, first-team All-Pro, and man, this is impressive to have this many players, and I think Dan Campbell said it best, basically that, like, it's also because of the team success. I mean, he kind of just laid it out like that, and that's the truth. That's how it is, right? We can do the same thing with the Pro Bowl, too, but the teams that win, they're going to get attention, so ultimately they'll get votes if they're also playing well on a good team. But if you're on a team that's like, they're not that great, they're not getting a lot of primetime games, all of a sudden you could be really good, but also still not get that attention. Lions have a couple things going for them right now. Obviously, they played well this season, so now they're getting that attention, and some of these top players got some accolades that they absolutely deserve. And to just touch on them, first-team players, first off, Penei Sewell, that's a no-brainer. To me, it's a no-brainer. The guy's allowed, according to PFF, 20 pressures on the season and 1 sack. He's played over 1,000 snaps at right tackle. And when you watch Penei Sewell, it's very quick to realize he is one of the best run blockers out there. It's not to say every block is perfect, but man, there just isn't a piece that moves guys like that. I mean, he moves you like he's one of those, a big offensive guard, man. I mean, he just moves defensive tackles on their spot. His down block ability, of course, he's also given us so much flexibility in what he can do up to the second level, especially for doing end-arounds, things like that. So, he's catching the foot. Penei Sewell can do it all. He's such an elite run blocker. He's such a people mover, and yet he's still freakishly athletic. And then in pass protection, those statistics kind of just say it all. So well-deserved there. Also, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown first team. Again, this is why the Pro Bowl is a disaster. How does he make first team here and not be on the Pro Bowl team? It's because it's just a fan vote. So that's why, it is what it is. But this is really impressive here. Now, again, to me, it's no shock. St. Brown this season statistically over 1,500 yards. I also believe that he led the NFL in yards after catch. All right, he averaged 5.7 yards after catch, according to PFF. That's an excellent number. And then, of course, it's also the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. It's the fact that he can line as a tight end. He can line in the backfield. He can play as a slot like he normally does, but he can also go out wide and get one-on-ones if they don't love their matchup on the outside. Lions can search for those. They can play him like a wide receiver. He also gives us so much as a run blocker as well. St. Brown is awesome for this team, and there's some of those things where you're watching the All-22, and at times this year you're just kind of expecting him to be great, expecting him to always be open, expecting him to catch everything when he drops it. You're like, what just happened? At the same time, though, you just have to sit back sometimes and watch some of the stuff that he does, and you're like, man, we just got to appreciate what he's doing right here. I mean, the timing of his routes, St. Brown, well-deserved. The numbers are there as well. Absolutely a first teamer. And then we move on to the second team, okay, because you get a couple of players for each position. So we move on to the second team, and we have Sam LaPorta. This is a crazy awesome honor for a rookie. I mean, not only is he setting tight end records just across the board for rookies, because most of the time they don't come on and are this successful this early, yet at the same time, I mean, if we just take rookies out of it, we're just looking at the tight end position alone, the statistics that he's put up this season are incredible. 5th in receiving yards, 1st in touchdowns with 10. He's got a 112 pass rating when he throws direction, 4th in receptions. I mean, there's like little knocks at time, but again, he's a rookie, right? There's at times like, oh, he dropped a couple passes. I didn't love that, last week. But this dude's a rookie, man. What he's also been for us as a run blocker, I think he's been a better run blocker than what we had in the past. In his first season here as a Lion, he does so much for us, the trick plays that we utilize. And then, of course, he has that flexibility where it makes Sam LaPorta so tough, where Sam LaPorta changes our entire offense, meaning the defense has to react to deal with Sam LaPorta. You have to make a decision. Do we want to put a linebacker out there? Are we going to match him up with a DB and then, again, allow the Lions to try to run the football because you're lighter in the box, right? Do we want to put a linebacker out there and say, hey, this might not be a great matchup for us? He is a guy that completely affects how a defense has to play you. That alone gives you that. I mean, he's been so big for us. He aligns everywhere for us. He knows what to do, and he's also been good in pass protection. He's improved as a blocker throughout the year, but he literally changes the offense and changes how defense has to play you, and he's made the 12 personnel in this Lions offense so darn impactful. And to be honest with you, like, he is the premier receiving target. Like, we have other guys, like James Mitchell's gotten some grabs, and, we've seen Brock Wright, but he is the premier receiving target. So it's not like, he's just one of the two. Like, he's been amazing on his own. He is a matchup piece. He's beaten the top corners one-on-one on the outside. Pat Surtain, for example, in the end zone. The guy is just a beast, man. Well-deserved there, and I cannot wait to watch this guy going forward. By the way, it's also his birthday today. Happy birthday, Sam LaPorta. Happy birthday, Sam LaPorta. Just want to throw that in there. Frank Ragnow as well. Big thing I'll say about Frank Ragnow is this, man. He's Mr. Consistency when he's out there. As a run blocker, pretty much against most matchups, he's going to dominate that matchup. Now, he's had tough matchups where you get a little bit more back and forth. What I also love about Frank, man, is he gives us so much balance in pass protection, right? You kind of just know when he's in there that interior offensive line in terms of, picking up assignments, dealing with stunts, dealing with movement is just going to be a lot more sound as soon as Frank plugs in, and that usually is the case. And then finally, we have Jalen Reeves-Maben for special teams. Again, I think it's well-deserved, playing a ton of snaps this season on special teams, over 300 snaps on special teams. He also has 9 tackles on special teams. So, again, he's been getting actually a lot of awards or accolades or attention for what he's done on special teams. That one makes a ton of sense, though, because he's really been great on special teams for his entire career. I mean, he kind of has, and now we're seeing him also on the defensive side. I understand for special teams, but for the defensive side, man, he gives you reliability, too. You just know exactly what you're going to get. You love his energy. Dude's a game changer. Love to have Jalen Reeves-Maben. He makes our special team unit a lot better. I want to forget the others receiving votes here. Again, Brian Branch. It's crazy that we're talking about rookies here. 4th in voting. Like, he nearly actually got into that spot there. And would it be crazy if he did? He's one of the major changes to our defense this offseason and been one of the biggest difference makers for our defense. Not only because he is an elite slot corner, which Lions have been searching for. I mean, you look at some of the statistics, they're unreal. According to PFF, the guy's allowing an 86.4 passer rating, 42 receptions on 67 targets. Like, that that low of a completion percentage for a slot you almost never see. But then what I love about him, and this is what I loved about him coming out of the draft, you guys remember the highest score game was as a run defender. This guy's an elite run defender. Like, there's nothing like him fighting through offensive tackles and tight ends and setting the edge at 160 pounds. I mean, it's unreal. It is unreal, and he's been a huge piece. He also plays safety for us, so defensively, if you want to go a little bit lighter in terms of DBs we put out there, we can put the guy at safety, and then at the same time, he's still breaking on the football, breaking things up at the catch point. It's like, how is this guy playing everything for us? This dude can play outside corner if you need him to. Don't doubt that at all. Some matches may not be great, but I don't doubt that at all.
On a side note, if this guy would have just played more games, so look out for this next year, Ify Melifonwu, I think, could have been in the conversation. What he's done is just taking the ball away in general. He's also been one of the best blitzers. I think he's one of the best blitzing safeties, probably up there with Kyle Hamilton, another guy that's really long, really big in size, really difficult to match up with as a blitzer. He's been a great run defender. And also, I still think there's some improvement needed in terms of a matchup piece. He gives us that. He's another guy, going forward, that he's going to end up on this list at some point soon.
Glasgow also received some votes. It sounds like he was 9th in voting, which I think makes some definite sense there. He's been a very good run blocker for us. He's a guy that I would love to re-sign, even if it's on a short-term deal this offseason, just to make sure that you have that stability. But what he's been athletically as a run blocker, he's stepped in. He's opened up so much of that outside zone rushing attack. We've had games like, for example, Dallas, where we just ran behind the right side of the offense line because he's just moving people. Hasn't been necessarily the same in terms of consistency as a pass protector. That's okay. I think he's allowed like 39 pressures this year, but the run blocking is mainly why he should be here. Plus, he can play on everywhere really on the offensive line if you need him to. And then finally, Jake McQuaid. Jake McQuaid, the long snapper. I'm going to be honest, I don't got much to say here. I don't really know what to say with this outside of, did you know that he was with the LA Rams when Jared Goff was there at a point? Okay, there you go. I mean, I didn't even remember that. Then I saw a clip, and I was like, oh, that's Jake McQuaid. I see you. 5 players, all-pro recognition. That is incredible. With that, let's move on now to the practice report that we have. And really, the unfortunate news starts at the top, of course. James Mitchell, he's out for this game, though he had full participation all week. Dan Campbell didn't really sound super convinced that he was going to play, even when he talked about it today, that Houston has looked better this week than last week, but he didn't really make it sound like, oh, yeah, this guy's definitely going to play. And it is a positive in the right direction, potentially for a next week. I do think, though, when I was thinking about this, again, going back to kind of my preview video, I do think the big edge defenders are going to be even more important in this game, specifically for the run defense. Josh Pascal, John Kaminsky, maybe the Lions give some different front looks than they normally utilize to try to get more bodies on the line of scrimmage. That's very possible. They become very impactful. But those guys specifically, because of the 11 personnel, you can put some of those big DNs out there. You can expect them to dominate tight ends or offensive tackles at the point of attack, and you're going to need them specifically against the run. And then also all the games they can utilize up front. John Kaminsky is the perfect example of that. Those guys become crucial because I think that's where you can win in pass protection. So it does stink to see this. I would love to see Houston get out there at some point. He was so optimistic at one point of the season, but I wouldn't count it out. Lions go win this playoff game, maybe we see him next week because full participation throughout the week is definitely a positive. Jerry Jacobs, this one's really unfortunate. I think someone may have said in my chat or the comment section yesterday that he's maybe going to IR. It sounds like that's a possibility here. No participation last 2 days. Campbell said he dealt with a little bit of an injury and that they weren't going to make any roster transactions until tomorrow like they usually do. So it sounds like he may be hitting IR, which could open up a roster spots for someone for the Detroit Lions. I guess we'll just have to see who that is. We know they can elevate a couple of players off the practice squad, but to allow them to not open up more elevations, but allow them to bring more players out the practice squad, one thing that they ultimately could be looking at here, because I don't know how serious it is, but if it is that serious, a guy like Jacobs potentially hitting IR, opening up a roster spot, and maybe a guy like Chase Lucas from the practice squad gets signed to the active roster, right? A guy that has played in special teams for us a lot this year. I mean, when Jerry's been out there, he's been able to take some of that role, but he's played a lot of the special teams role. He still gives us cornerback depth, so maybe a piece like that. Maybe a guy like Anthony Fursker, because as you can see, this is one of the biggest gut punches I saw today. No participation, out for James Mitchell. He popped up yesterday, I guess, with a hand injury, and now he's out for this game. This is a massive gut punch. It makes having LaPorta really more important. Like, you really need to have this guy now. If we don't, we'd probably be rolling with Fursker, Dan Skipper, and Brock Wright. That's not to say we can't win with that, right? They obviously would be way less involved in the passing attack. Way less involved, but at the same time, and Dan Campbell spoke on that, it's great that we have smart receivers. We have guys that can align in different spots, so you have different packages that you come in prepared with if LaPorta can or can't play, as he brought up. But this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. Now, the positive is this. James Mitchell, if Sam LaPorta can play, hasn't really been a massive receiving target, but he's gotten like 1 or 2 at times. However, where he's been so impactful is pass protection, blocking to me. Brock Wright's a really nice blocker, and that's been his biggest impact as a Lion. So if you have Brock Wright, plus, I mean, we've seen him play at fullback. If you have Brock Wright and you don't have James Mitchell, but you have LaPorta, you may be able to kind of clean up some of the things that you're missing there with James Mitchell. It just stinks, though, because James Mitchell has seemingly kind of come on with the opportunity that he's had recently. We know the talent's there. There was a time where we weren't even seeing Mitchell, and then he was kind of forced into action. He's got talent, man, and I think it's very promising that he got to show some things off, and then going forward, he should continue to be utilized within this offense because he's still a guy that's on his rookie deal. Khalif Raymond's also out for this game. No participation all week. I think that one was kind of expected. John Kaminsky's questionable, though he's practiced all week, so that feels like a positive there. Again, we'll have Josh Paschal either way. Sam LaPorta, full participation. We touched on that. He's questionable, so we'll just wait and see. I guess we'll know more tomorrow. We'll know for sure when the inactives come out. I don't know that we'll get anything early here, but I'll tell you what, man. It sounds like he's going to play. I'm just saying it sounds like it's trending in the right direction. That's all I can really say at this point, but it feels like he's going to go, and he's going to push through it, and, man, he is a warrior for that. For even getting to this point, he is an absolute warrior for that. Brian Branch is in. That's awesome. Same as Teddy Bridgewater. Yesterday was listed as personal, but here we are. We're back. Full participation, so no real concern there. Taylor Decker, the offense line's healthy. Full participation, full participation, full participation. Fantastic. Cam Sutton as well is good to go. So is J-Mo, and then finally, like we said, Brock Wright. Rams side of things, here were the updates that Sean McVay gave us before practice. First off, it was Jordan Fuller, their safety. We talked about him. I think he's one of their best pieces in the back end. We also discussed having guys like Russ Yeast as an option if he can't go. He said that he would not practice today, but he's questionable, but he's one of those guys that they're going to use every day of the week. So they're not counting this out until they basically can't play him. This may come down to like a game time decision, but it's not improving in the sense that he's getting participation today. Maybe he's just going through individual stuff. However, he did say that he's been progressing every day. Continuing, I think he was saying Havenstein, their right tackle, it cut off at the very beginning. I think he was saying that Havenstein, they're expecting him to be good to go. So that would make a ton of sense just based on, who's been on the injury report. So that's what I would assume there because he's been limited. Troy Reeder, their linebacker, limited participation is what he's going to be listed as today, according to Sean McVay, which will also put him as questionable. Same thing with Dodson and also Tyler Higbee. So their right guard and their tight end. It feels like he feels good that both those guys are going to be able to play. So their offensive line, that's a huge boost having Dodson in this one, as well as Tyler Higbee. He is a game changer at tight end. Not having Higbee would be massive. I think it completely downgrades that position. Though I like Davis Allen, that is a game changer for this offense. But if anything, I like the pieces that we have. CD Deuce, Ife Melifonwu. I like our tight end matchup pieces. I really do. I feel very confident in those guys. So I'm excited to see that battle just play out, especially on third down, because I'm assuming we're going to see at least a couple of pass attempts on third down from the Rams going to that guy. Also, he brought up that Bobby Brown was dealing with a little bit of an illness. Again, it's kind of that time of the year, but, so he didn't really go into that one too much. But, again, usually when guys pop on with illness, they're able to get back there. So hopefully that is the case for him. But that is what we are looking at for the practice report for the Lions and the Rams. Lions side, we'll see if LaPorta plays, but it feels like it's trending the right direction. The James Mitchell one is tough. It is tough to see that. And hopefully eventually we get James Houston back on the field. And I think if we handle business this week, we might just be seeing him next week. So that's the plan. Check out that highlight video if you want to, okay? I mean, hey, I got me pretty hype. I've already watched like 4 times, and I made the dang thing. So you know what I mean. All right, we got to leave it right there. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.